What? Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.
Welcome in, everybody. Tuesday night, Dynasty Points back again like we never left. We're here to rattle some cages. Look, we've been accused of being a little bit negative sometimes. Today, we're doing it the other way. We are going to be positive Pete's on this podcast today. Very limited negativity. We are doing the best picks through the first 8 rounds. All 3 of us have 1 pick for each round that we're going to give, a quick tidbit on, break down a little bit, talk about it. I'm excited. The chat is excited. No Lucas tonight, but that's okay. Also want to keep in mind that next week, Pat Dougherty joins the show. Once again, it's been a couple of years since our good friend Pat has joined the show. We are excited. We have a new game that we are going to be, we're going to make new again. Hasn't been seen since.
I think it might be our first game.
It might have been the actual first one before Billy Stat Corner. Yeah, I believe you're right.
No, Billy Stat Corner is the oldest game. So
that is one.
About Billy Stat Corner.
So this is the second best game. Look, it has been a great time the last week or so. The Blue Jays keep winning 10 in a row if we don't collapse tonight. It's all good over here in the Tommy T household. Dynasty teams starting to be fire. Me and Ryan cooking once again in a Dynasty startup. He's doing a lot of the heavy lifting as I've been very, very busy. But what that means is if I'm too busy to be active in a startup, it means something really cool is coming up. And I've been working my tail off on a little project for everybody. So I'm excited to put that out here in the next couple weeks. Excited for that. Stay locked in. That being said, today's, like I said, we're doing best picks 1 through 4, best picks 5 through 8. If you have Dynasty Q&A questions, we're obviously going to hit that, and a very special 5 for 5. I am hosting 5 for 5 because these bums are so far behind. I have to give them a chance. Jacob can play for Lucas if he so fits. I can't wait. I'm excited. Madden themed, obviously Madden and College Football 26, the ultimate deluxe edition if you get both at the same time. So kind of inspired the theme for that. That being said, we kick this podcast off the same way we always do. We like to be transparent on this show. Okay. And we understand that you guys leave comments. You guys spend your time. We get critiqued. We are not afraid of criticism. In fact, we welcome it. We need it. Well, how do we do that? We do the Dynasty Points comment review. We take the 3 of my favorite comments from week to week, and we give everyone the shout out. If you want your comment to be picked and to be shouted out, leave a good one on YouTube, on the podcast feed, on Spotify, and we'll have a look. We have a good one. G Naughty 4662 says Jacob is on fire. Quote, I think Miami just wants to eat candy for dinner. End quote. That was an absolute bar. We have Martin Zenk 4504. Honestly, the chat roasting these guys is the reason I keep coming back. Fantasy takes are just a bonus. We appreciate that. And NJR the third is the only person so far to comment about every Eric Lindros concussion reference that I make on this program. Somebody has finally acknowledged it. And yes, it is gruesome. If you understand that story, you'll understand.
No good roast in the comments last week. Only a comment about how they like us getting roasted, but you guys kind of didn't bring the heat. Apparently, there was nothing about me being too pale.
Nope.
Nothing like attacking my character. I'm a little disappointed.
We'll cover that for you today.
Well, there was a pizza comment, but I left it out. So somebody else made another pizza suggestion. I didn't want to talk pizza again. The people don't want us to keep talking about pizza, but we might do like a top 10 frozen pizza list at this rate with how many comments we get about it.
I would do it. I would do an entire show just about pizza.
Well, I mean,
set up the tier list. Yeah. We know that'll That'll bump those engagement metrics. It'll be great.
We are somewhat known for our, topics on food and other such things like iced coffees and who's on the right or wrong side of history, Ryan. But it is becoming a thing for us here in the off season. Like I said, if you guys have dynasty chats, someone asking about Scott Fishbowl, I don't play anymore. All love to everyone who does. It's a redraft format, and I just can't. I can't stay.
Such a purist. Oh my god!
For a couple,
tomatoes.
Yeah.
Absolute
Jacob,
tomatoes.
how was the Vancouver live draft?
Yeah. Okay. I was actually sick. So I do you guys know who Tom Everett Scott is? He's in several movies. Most notably That Thing You Do. And also a big fantasy football fan. I've heard him. He's joined on living the stream a couple times with JJ and Denny. As far as I know,
fun fact, that's why I know who Tom Everett Scott is.
Yeah,
It's actually not because of anything he's done.
But he's also in La La Land.
Offense.
Well, if he listens to this now, he's about to be offended. Anyway, so I show up. And
Tom Everett Scott,
if
if you're out there, I don't know any movie references. It's not you, man. I wouldn't recognize most actors.
So I realize I'm in the same draft as Tom Everett Scott. I'm like, I know he's not Canadian. Like, what's going on? And I go up, and he's shooting. He's shooting currently the prequel to Legally Blonde.
Oh, nice.
Called Elle. That's shooting in Vancouver right now. So what better to do if you're Tom Everett Scott than show up to a live Scott Fishbowl draft on Sunday afternoon? So it was actually a blast. I got firsthand confirmation that Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are cool people in real life. I got to hear fun stories about shooting La La Land, one of my 10 favorite movies ever, maybe my favorite movie ever. And that was awesome. And I also got to tell him the story of how I was in one movie and wound up having to eat 12 mayonnaise sandwiches while being fake assaulted against a rock. So it was honestly a fantastic day. And yeah, shout out to the Scott Fishbowl. Shout out to Sal Pal, to Sam for putting together the third straight live draft in Vancouver. And shout out to everybody involved in putting on the Scott Fishbowl and especially the live drafts. Look forward to it every single year.
I will say, like, maybe if I did the live drafts, I would be more into it, perhaps. But the first year I did it, it was on MFL. We're not allowed to discuss other platforms anymore, as I've been warned. So I'll leave it at that. That's enough for me. And then the last one I did end up on Sleeper. I just couldn't, I care about my dynasty teams, and I would rarely check that one. I'm down for the charity. I like to donate. That's all good to me. You should all donate. It's a great cause. They do a phenomenal job, but it's redraft, bro. I can't do it. I just can't stay invested. I can't do it. All right. Quick break. When we come back, we are going to get into the best picks, in our opinion, through rounds 1 and 4. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. Okay, so StreamYard likes to do this thing, which is what we stream off of, where they just change everything. And I got to remember where the buttons are now because everything looks different on my end. I'm most definitely going to screw that up at some point. I will kick this off by saying, if we don't mention a player, it doesn't mean that we don't like those picks. I see you guys have taken some of my favorites, so I just picked one, like my second best or my third best. So if I don't have a ton on it, that would probably be why. But I want to kick it off with Jacob. Who is your favorite pick in round 1? I don't think any of us would be surprised on who it is, but we should talk about it anyway.
No, I tried to put in a few surprising ones throughout. The way I tried to approach this was not just to pick my, the player I have ranked the most above their ADP or the player take I love most. I tried to merge some of that with if I accept the premise of a given player, if I accept that I'm into running backs or if I accept that I'm into olds or whatever, if there's one in particular that stands out as being interestingly valued, I tried to highlight them. But nothing surprising at all in round 1. my favorite pick in round 1 is Brock Bowers at the 1. We play Superflex tight end premium. People don't know this, but Brock Bowers last year, as a rookie, as a 21-year-old rookie in tight end premium scoring, just straight up outscored Justin Jefferson last year. So I'm getting this big age discount. I'm basically getting a 22-year-old Puka Nacua, a 22-year-old Amon-Ra St. Brown, 22-year-old Chris Godwin, and I get an extra half a point every single time he catches a football. And then I don't have to actually draft him as high as I have to draft at least 2 other wide receivers, sometimes even 3 other wide receivers. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think personally he's an absolute lock in my top 6. It's a tier above everybody else. And it's it continues to be people that view him as a tight end when that is only a benefit to your fantasy portfolio. He is an F wide receiver. He is Puka, Amon-Ra, Godwin, Cooper Kupp, anything else. PE breaks people's brains. And when, we don't, in this format, in Dynasty, we don't even have to have the argument about, are there later tight ends that project better, all this different stuff. No, it's tight end premium. He's just going to straight up outscore all the wide receivers for probably the next 10 years.
Yeah. A little more bullish on the guaranteed 10 years thing, but I like your optimism.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm fully with you. I've been like anti-early tight ends in every other format, but it is very weird to me, like the relative lack of tight end thirst in the Dynasty tight end premium formats. Like Tom and I just traded up and got Bowers at the 202, I think, in the startup that we were doing. Yeah. It's wild to me that for whatever reason, there's just like people view him as inherently less valuable when, for all the reasons you laid out, this is the format you should be attacking him.
People just fundamentally still, and this isn't just a Bowers thing, but like everybody needs to just like take the max pill. And people just don't understand what the tight end position is. And it manifests in a lot of different ways. But the relative positions on the football field, I mean, look, I'm not an NFL coach by any stretch, but I don't think that the way that the NFL coaches view the positions are all that similar to how the fantasy. It's almost at the point to me where it is, in Madden, like it literally took until like this year for them to change their breakdown between defensive ends and linebackers.
Oh,
and so you would just like randomly be like playing Madden. You look at the linebackers, and it's like half the linebackers are like Micah Parsons types, and the other half are like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And it's like these are completely different players. They have completely different roles, but they just both have LB next to their name. Yeah. Like that's almost how we are in the fantasy, where it's like there are X wide receivers and there's Z wide receivers, and there's the F position that is sometimes a wide receiver, but it's sometimes a tight end, and there's the Y position. But these are all fundamentally different positions. And in fantasy, we just only have wide receiver and tight end, which is the way they're scored. But if you can understand how these positions actually are used on the football field, and then take advantage of the rare opportunities where you're just randomly getting more points, even though a player is playing a different position, it becomes that quote unquote cheat code. And to me, Bowers is like most of the tight ends that aren't actually tight ends. It's a bad thing. But Bowers is the exception because he is so good at being a slot wide receiver that you're just getting the tight end points for free.
Yep. It's not a click that I've made often. I think I did one startup this year where I ended up taking them kind of later in the first round because my favorite receivers were gone again. But I was very into it when I got him. Keith says the Jays may never lose again. That's how I'm feeling, baby. I'm all in. I'm all in. Might do baseball watch parties coming up. I don't know. I'm all in.
Oh my God. You're going to be Twitch streaming baseball games?
Oh man, I might. I'm all in. People loved when I was Twitch streaming the live Ravens games to watch me freak out. If you want to see me freak out, just wait till Chad Green comes into the game and gives up a home run. I'm not a happy person. Ryan, better note, let's talk about your favorite pick in round 1.
Yeah, so I mean, as with any pick, I don't think there really are that many bad picks in round 1. So this was a little bit harder to pick compared to the other rounds. But I went with Malik Neighbors, and that's mostly because I think he's one of like the safest possible picks you can make right now. And that's because just think about, let's use like Garrett Wilson as an example, who has held a second or third round startup ADP for basically his entire career, despite never scoring up to that level, because it's just very clear to everybody, wow, he's never had the quarterback that will facilitate actual fantasy scoring, but people recognize he's good. He stays in the second and third round of startups his whole career. I think with Neighbors, we can kind of expect like a supercharged version of that, but with the obvious added bonus that he just was a wide receiver one, despite abjectly horrible quarterback play as a rookie. He did just have the most catchable targets by any rookie wide receiver in like the last 5 or 6 years or whatever it is. He did just break like all these volume records, highest fantasy points data, first read target share, like all of them. He's done that. We've seen it happen. He has put up fantasy points multiple years younger than all these other wide receivers kind of going there. There's just not a lot that can go wrong. Like you can slot Neighbors into the 1-2 turn of startups at worst for like the next 3 years, almost regardless of what actually happens on a football field, what actually happens with his QB play. And if it gets better, then it's to the moon. So yeah, Neighbors, I think, is just like the easiest way to not mess up your startup team.
Yeah, he's safe to the point where he's almost safer than most quarterbacks, right? We see quarterback values. We always talk about like, oh, quarterback sneak in. Not really this year. The last couple of years, we've had some softballs like Justin Fields. His last year was a round 1 pick. We talked about AR at length last year. It just doesn't get much safer with the receiver like this. Like it's still weird. If Puka just didn't get hurt often, I think he would also be in round 1 just simply because of his production. But he also just wasn't that top end pick like Neighbors was. Like people really, really hold on to the draft capital, as you know they should to a certain extent. He's safe, and safe is very good, especially when that safety comes with the potential to win a week. Sans the concussion weeks, like he was, I mean, no words to truly describe how phenomenal he was. And that leaves my pick here at the 112, the cheapest elite wide receiver I think you can get, like truly elite potential wide receiver 1 overall. It's CeeDee Lamb at 112. I don't know why he's the odd man out. He's unbelievable. Yes, he got a little bit banged up last year, slowed him down a little bit. He had to deal with, like most, like players do from time to time, terrible quarterback play from backups. I get it. He was still unreal and going to be unreal for quite some time. Yes, George Pickens is coming in. That's great. Awesome. Ferguson is there. Awesome. None of that is off-putting to me when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. He is not this available in leagues. You do not get to pay the 112 prices to acquire him. It's just an easy click for me. Oh, you lost out on Jefferson and Neighbors and Chase. Totally understand. It's not like CeeDee Lamb is that far on a week-to-week basis from those guys to me. So easy click at 112. I don't have to really think about it. Not a lot could entice me. I'm not taking him over. I'm not taking guys like, I love Amon-Ra. I might be the biggest Amon-Ra guy on this show at this point, but I'm not taking him over him or Brian Thomas Jr. and his upside potential. CeeDee Lamb is just unreal, and I think it's a little bit of player fatigue that he's lasting to this point. I mean, running backs are creeping into round 1. I take him over Gibbs. I take him over Genty. Take him over Bijan every time to me. He's only 26 currently. I think it's just a little bit of prospect fatigue, and that's okay. That happens, but benefit from that. Which is why late in round 1 is still my favorite place to pick all the time, because it's just these values constantly pop up. So that's round 1. TD, also shout out TD. Love you, miss you. CD going to go berserk this season? I hope so. I have more CeeDee Lamb now than I've ever had before in my fantasy life. Jacob, let's talk round 2 picks.
All right. This one I actually got some stats for. I had a feeling there might be some crazy stats I could pull for this player. I did not even know it was going to be as wild as what I actually found when I hopped into the Fantasy Points data suite. Look, I was a doubter towards the end of his rookie season. I got in, luckily, when people started panicking over his injury last year. And he came back stronger than I could have possibly imagined. Point that I think he might even be my true serum pick to be the wide receiver 1 overall this year. Just 24 years old, Puka Nacua had a 0.38 targets per route run last year. Not the biggest sample of routes because he missed a lot of time last year. But
as we will do.
Well over 300 routes. 0.38 targets per route run. That's with fantasy points statistics, not with PFF. That is a 0.06 gap from him to the next highest targets per route run with 100 routes, that being Malik Neighbors, who is number 2. That 0.06 gap is the same gap as between Malik Neighbors, who I just said finished second, and Zay Flowers, who finished 28th. Puka Nacua had 3.59 yards per route run. That would be a 0.65 drop down to third place, who's Nico Collins. AJ Brown was second place. That 0.65 between himself and Nico, who is third place, is the same as Nico Collins all the way down to Devonta Smith in 22nd place. He was gapping even the best of the best last year in about 2/3 of the season in targets and yards per route run, to the degree that the other best receivers in the game were treating wide receiver 2s and wide receiver 3s. It was absolutely insane. And if you're wondering about Devonta, Cooper Kupp was still earning, like he wasn't very efficient with it anymore because he's kind of washed, but he was still earning well over 20% targets per route run while Puka Nacua was active. So I have no concerns about Devonta eating on Puka's role. I think that what we've seen from Sean McVay is that if they have 2 guys they can run the entire offense through, they pretty much just get it to those guys. If you remember back to when we still had Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods both in their prime, Robert Woods was still a low-end wide receiver 1, while Cooper Kupp was putting up the best fantasy season in history. I think Devontae Adams can absolutely contend to be a top 10 to 15 wide receiver, while Puka Nacua potentially could be the highest scoring wide receiver in all of fantasy. He's just an unbelievable player in the best possible offense for what he can do with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. And, maybe eventually that changes and Matthew Stafford doesn't go and maybe he switches back to a mid or low end wide receiver 1, but he's an absolute baller. I think he's going to be good in any situation. And for at least this year, if he stays healthy for 17 games, I think he is as good a bet as anybody to be up over 20 points per game at the wide receiver position. And you can get him right now as the wide receiver 7.
Yeah, he should be a first round pick. There can only be 12, right? Obviously, we talk about that all the time, but he should be one of them. Like he's insane. And I think a little bit of it is the draft capital thing. And he gets hurt a lot. Like he has the Nico problem for me. But again, we're talking about what your wide receiver 2 on your team is Puka. Oh no. Like what am I going to do? Well, I can't take it. Yeah, it's an easy pick. Ryan?
Yeah, I have Puka ranked back-to-back with Neighbors. He would have been my easy pick if Jacob hadn't beaten me to it. But yeah, the stat I like is that last year in their games together, Puka and Kupp effectively combined for a 67% target per route run rate. So just 2/3 of the time, Matt Stafford's dropping back, it's going to one of those two. Yeah, same exact thing can absolutely happen with Devontae Adams. You heard how insane all the stats were. Yeah, just fully on board with Puka.
If anything, it'll just improve the situation because Devonta's probably going to be more efficient than Kupp was last year on those looks.
Yeah, but Puka's a top 5 redraft pick for me this year, just ignoring ADP and like ranking with my heart. I would take Chase, Jefferson, Bijan, Gibbs over him, and that's it.
Yeah, I have him.
Okay.
If we were doing full PPR, it's a little tougher for me to think in full PPR brain because I'm so pilled. And the one thing you can knock for Puka is he's never really been a touchdown scorer. I think it's too early for me to say like that's a fatal flaw, but it just hasn't been a major part of his profile. In a PPR, like the main event, I would take Bowers 101 in the main event, but I would consider Puka as early as like the 103, I think.
Damn.
Wild.
Yeah,
That's kind of wild, but damn. I love it. I love that. Ryan?
Yeah. So my guy is significantly less exciting because I didn't get to pick Puka, but I'm gonna go to the other end of this round, the back of the round, and I'm gonna go with Drake London. So I think there's a little bit of like player fatigue with him too, just because like the peripherals were so great for so long, and the production finally came last year, but I don't think the level of excitement in terms of like his ADP has really matched up to what we saw. So across the full season, London led the NFL in end zone target share. He saw 56% of the Falcons' targets in the end zone, with Kyle Pitts just continuing to fall off and like not be a real player that is only going to go up. They have no other big bodies whatsoever. You pair that with what we saw out of Michael Penix. He had the 6th highest deep throw rate last year in his limited sample. Looked pretty damn good, if I would say so myself as well. London splits with him are also awesome, kind of complicated by like Darnell Mooney missing games, but still really encouraging. Over 117 receiving yards per game with Penix. So yeah, I am just continuing to click London in the late second and being really happy about it.
Yeah. The only thing I would push back is I wonder how much not even push back, but just clarify maybe some of the lack of excitement was the up and down nature of it. Now, if you look into the like deep into how that was, it was Kirk Cousins coming off an injury, first time play caller. There's a lot of things like there was way too much Ray McLeod in that offense. Could we knock it off with that? First off, wear a receiver's number. First off, the drip there is negative drip with that number, please. But then a lot of his production, a lot of it is probably the wrong way to say it, but those last couple of games where he was target piled and production piled really prop up his finish, in my opinion. And I am wondering if people are almost put off by that instead of normally I say the last couple games will propel somebody into the next year, and that's what people will play off of. It kind of feels like it's almost being used against him, almost to say, well, he's not going to target him 10 times a game. There's no way he gets 11 targets per game, or Bijan's so good, London can't. Like,
I would get that if his QB for the last 3 games was like Joe Flacco or whatever, but it's his week 1 starting QB that is.
I totally get it.
Hopefully their franchise QB.
But remember, there's also like a Michael Penix meme stink potentially on him a little bit. People either love Michael Penix or they're out. He doesn't really seem to have a crowd that's in between.
I'm in between. I'm not that certain that Michael Penix is going to be like a great quarterback, and I'm less convinced he's going to be a great fantasy quarterback. He doesn't run like at all. But I am very convinced he's going to be like one of those I really love the weapons for this guy quarterbacks.
I can see that.
Because he never takes sacks, very rarely scrambles, and he just chucks it deep. So like he is like, I'm not totally sure about his decision making. Like I think there's like a little bit of like Jameis-y, Jay Cutlery downside, but in terms of just can this guy like absolutely fill up the numbers for his wide receivers? I think absolutely. Like I think it's like the ceiling is like Matt Stafford, who's like the GOAT of fantasy production, and the downside comp would be like a Jay Cutler, who also once was just feeding Brandon Marshall 180 times a year. So I'm all in on his weapons for however it goes with Penix.
Yeah, and to your point too, Jacob, Penix second lowest in check down rate last year, in between, you guessed it, Jameis Winston and Anthony Richardson. So he's just it's just gonna be the gunslinger thing.
Not sure a round 2 starter pick can really be considered a downplayed in the market. He's behind all. Sure,
well, we have to pick someone in round 2.
We have to pick someone in round 2, and
God,
I think there is reason. Right, that he's not going higher. Right, I think that there is a legitimate back and forth that people think it. People say he's overrated. I've seen, I wouldn't draft him. I'll pass, etc. It's out
This
there.
is why
so
they didn't
it's
take
worth
you on the
talking
plane to
about.
Paris, Kevin.
I mean, I'll say even within the round, like I will take London over all of the QBs that people are drafting at the end of round 2 in general. Like that, I'd so much rather do that. And I've traded up in order to do that in startups instead of like picking my poison between a Justin Herbert or a Caleb Williams or what have you.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Let's go to my player here. And TD said that I got sniped on the pick. I actually had my pick in first on this, TD. So Drake London was not my pick. I'm actually going to go with Trey McBride in the middle of the second round. Take everything Jacob said about Brock Bowers, subtract the fact that he wasn't a 21-year-old rookie, and Superflex tight end premium. Did you miss out on generational Brock Bowers? Guess what? I've got the 1B for you, and his name's Trey McBride. Situation hasn't changed. Kyler Murray's going to absolutely, pelt him with targets. Hopefully he catches more touchdowns than like the 2 at the end of the year, because boy, those weeks were glorious. He does everything that Kyler Murray looks for in a target, and I don't see that stopping. He's not old by any stretch. I think Bowers and McBride are so clearly number 1 and 2 in this. I don't see that big of a drop-off from a week-to-week basis from Bowers to McBride, especially if the touchdowns come. Like, if the touchdowns come for Trey McBride, he's just Brock Bowers, right? Just in a different way, let's say. So 2-7, Trey McBride. If you missed out on Bowers and you want the last of the top 2 truly elite tight ends, in my opinion, I think Bowers is an absolute smash pick. At the 2-7, he's really hard to acquire in leagues. It's almost the cheapest that you can acquire him. So if you don't want to risk it on a George Kittle or push it down the board type situation, 2-7, second round tight end, easy smash pick for me. Jacob, third round.
All right, man, we're not even snake drafting. I'm going first every single time. All right. I don't know. I took a running back here. I have, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 running backs in the entire top 100 that I'm actually ahead of their startup ADP on. I think all of them are rookies. But this is the running back that I have the highest percentage ahead of ADP on of anyone in the top 100, maybe the entirety of Dynasty ADP. I didn't check that far. But it's a Marion Hampton. And this just, again, this like, there's people, I think Tom likes Hampton's game more than I do in a vacuum, but I've just been of the view this entire draft cycle, pre and post draft, that he is just like picking up a nickel on the street. Like, it's just, size, speed, pass catching, ability to handle volume, 21 years old, has the entire package, going behind a really good offensive line on a team that, depending on who you ask, is either going to be neutral or slightly run heavy, on an offense that I think is going to score points. They're going to play from ahead. And this, to me, is as cheap as he is going to be for the next 4 to 5 years, because he has to deal with, maybe he's not an RB1 in my lineup right away. But like, as soon as Najee gets dusted, and he's going to get dusted eventually. I don't know if that's week 1 or week 6 or week 10 or 2025 or 2026, but it's happening. And it's going to be Hampton's backfield. And even if he is not as elite as he potentially could be, he does absolutely every single thing that you need to do in fantasy. And it's just a matter of time. So I think it's just one of the easiest possible clicks you can make that is like an absolute lock to be worth more next year than he is this year. And you're going to get production along the way, especially in the fantasy playoffs. His price doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. In particular, the fact that he's going behind Devon Achane makes literally no sense to me. I think he's a very, very easy click and pretty much the only running back in the first 3 rounds that I am looking to actually draft.
Yeah, I think he's unreal. I had a hot take that Hampton would outproduce Genty in year 1, given the right situation. Probably not going to happen with the Najee stuff, but boy, Greg Roman, let's get back to that pound the rock game here to maybe not make me eat words there. But
I don't have that much time for the Najee weirdos in seasonal, but I have no time for the Najee weirdos in Dynasty. What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? That Najee is annoying and takes more of the work than we like this year. Well, then in that case, Hampton's going to be the RB16, and then Najee's going to be gone next year. And everybody's going to be like, oh my God, now he gets a backfield to himself. And then he's going to be a round 2 pick anyways. Right? Remember when that happened with Javonte Williams? Javonte Williams was not a college workhorse. Did not have the pass catching profile that Hampton did. Did not have the athleticism that Hampton did. Didn't play in the offense that Hampton does. And wasn't a round 1 pick. So I don't even view it as that. The worst thing that's going to happen from Najee, in my perspective, is he's going to make your year 1 slightly more annoying than you hoped. But it's not really going to affect anything from a long-term dynasty perspective. And I don't think it's going to affect anything as early as about week 7.
Well, the running back hate, I think, is so forced because when it really comes down to it, people like running backs and they like young running backs. There was a time where Slime Sanders, right? It was a 2nd-round pick. Everyone remembers those mistakes, right? So all they kind of have to do is play well and just produce at all, stay healthy. And you're right. The value gain there is totally locked in. He was not a blue chip prospect in my opinion, but he gets the blue chip landing spot. It couldn't have been a better landing spot in my opinion for his game, for what he likes to do. They talk about, we're going to run Herbert more. He's put on weight. Scott jokingly called him Josh Allen light, right? With his mobility in his last school of Scott.
That does sound like something Scott would say.
Right. So it's are they going to open up the running lanes with him? Are they finally going to let, is Greg Roman going to cook, if you would, and scheme up targets to his fullback? I can't go back down that road again, but we'll lose all our audience. But I'm with you. I think there's a real possibility of him being a 2nd-round startup pick, easy early round 2 as well. Ryan?
Yeah. So both of you guys took, in my opinion, the 2 best picks in this round. So I ended up just kind of defaulting to the homer pick, which is Devon Achane. I kind of hate most of the receivers in this round, other than the guy Tom's going to talk about. To me with Achane, it's really simple. Specifically for 2025, it's really simple, and that can kind of roll forward into at least 2026 and probably beyond. Here's the deal with the Dolphins, right? Jonnu Smith's gone. Both Achane and Jonnu Smith ranked top 15 in design targets in the NFL last year. Very, very likely a lot of that kind of short area screen work that Jonnu was getting is just going to Devon Achane, who, mind you, already had one of the best receiving workloads of any running back in the NFL last year, really only second to the Alvin Kamara PPR scam stuff, right? And what's great about it is there are kind of 2 paths for the Dolphins. Either they can figure out all of their issues up front, as Mike McDaniel himself has said, figure out the run game, punish teams for hanging back in too high. And if that's the case, then it's like the 2023 Dolphins, where they were the most valuable backfield in the league and had multiple running backs finishing as top 14 or top 13 guys or whatever Achane and Mostert each finished as that year. But with Achane getting 70% of that work, that sounds awesome if Miami's actually good. If they're not, if it's like last year, then perfect. Achane in games Tua was healthy, outscored Saquon Barkley. He was the RB1, I think was the RB2 by expected fantasy points per game in that split. He can keep doing this PPR scam stuff, but even more. And pretty much either outcome works for him also in 2026. Either he just had an amazing season on a really good offense, or he had his 2nd PPR scam season in a row on a bad offense. I guess the worst possible case is Tua's career ends and the Dolphins are just completely answerless at the QB position. That's the only way that this blows up.
I see one other way. He's like
Which
one of the
is?
least efficient running backs again in the league because their all line is broken and he's like a tiny little man, and then they draft like a 220-pound running back the next year.
If he catches 70 passes, like I'm just not sure. Does the ADP market care? Yes, probably. If they draft another running back that is bigger and gonna like potentially take goal line work, but I don't think it is really. That's a very small percentage chance to me. That's like not. Yeah, I don't think that's. It's way too easy for them to keep drafting like the Ollie Gordons of the world, where in April we can be like, oh, maybe like that guy could kind of take goal line work and do. Yeah, I don't care
like
either, and you shouldn't.
Yeah,
but it's too easy for them to just continue kind of doing that, and maybe one of those guys does take like 30-40% of the red zone carries, kind of like Raheem Mostert was last year, and HN is still a top 3 running back by fantasy points per game and expected fantasy points per game. Like the receiving scam that he was running last year is just so strong, and there's only ways for it to get stronger pretty much this year. So
do you have concerns that Mike McDaniel is like 85% to get fired after this year?
That was my concern.
I suppose.
Like, I think Mike McDaniel is like plus 700 to be the Dolphins coach week 1 of 2026.
I wouldn't put it as that long. Do
you think there's a single coach in the NFL that is more already fired to start the year than Mike McDaniel? Maybe Brian Daboll.
Yeah, Brian Daboll. I'm sure there's.
I think Mike McDaniel is less likely to see week 10 of 2025 than week 1 of 2026.
This is such a I don't know, man. This is such a NFL discourse thing though that I feel like has been brought to life by just people talking on the internet. I don't know, just by the objective metrics of how his offense is run. I don't really have that many issues with Mike McDaniel based on the personnel and what they were dealing with last year.
I don't have issues with Mike McDaniel.
I think you can have issues. Yeah, I think you can have issues with him in terms of Are we managing Tyreek Hill's personality appropriately as a head coach? But I don't know. I don't think he should be fired. But that is fair. That it is out there. That is the prevailing narrative. So that does make it more likely.
Yeah, I said on Fantasy Football Daily that my hot take is not only is McDaniel gone, but they're looking for a new starting quarterback in Miami in 2026. I think there's a very real chance they clean house.
Everybody is gone.
Yeah, I think if one goes, I think they clean house, and yeah.
And then they draft a running back.
Well, it's not as much. It's maybe they draft a running back, but it's more just the whole scheme. I really like HN as a player, but he has extreme strengths and he has some very apparent weaknesses. And a part of why I think he's been so successful is that he fits the McDaniel scheme in 2 excellent ways. And I'm not 100% sure that he would be. I could see less. I actually have a lot of respect for McDaniel. If I'm coming off as anti-McDaniel, it's more just that I think the writing is on the wall. And it's more to do with their roster and the fact that he'll then be a 4-year head coach without a playoff win, and less about that I think he's bad. But I think less creative, less open-minded head coaches would come in and be like, this 180-pound little scrub ain't carrying the rock for me. And he becomes a timeshare guy that doesn't get all the pass catching that he currently gets. You look at I just think so many NFL coaches are complete boomers. And I have great fear that HN lands with a coach who does not appreciate what he can bring and focuses more on his weaknesses than his strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they probably, if in this scenario, if we're playing this out, if Mike McDaniel gets fired at the end of the season, they're going for a boomer head coach. That is the antidote for everything they think is wrong with McDaniel is we're going to get as boomer as possible here in our head coach.
It's just overcorrection incoming.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree at all. So There's risk there for sure. I understand why Jacob's Hampton over Achane. It's one spot for now.
I'm pushing back because Ryan wasn't on the show, but I had Achane as the worst pick in round 3 when we did this. That's why I'm being a bit feisty.
It is. Little throwback, little callback. My favorite.
I do love him this year, though. I'll say that. I love him in redraft.
My favorite pick is boring. It's Ladd McConkey. I mean, it is. We can't sit here and talk about him anymore. We fought against the Marvin Harrison Jr. over Ladd McConkey when that was a thing. We've won so far in that. So victory. He's getting more and more expensive. He's now the 3-1 if you go back to June 1st.
Yeah. Have not seen Ladd McConkey go in the third round in a single start.
Yeah, not my hashtag not
I'm being honest.
I've got him one time. In that range. Sometimes the quarterbacks do get propped up. The Drake Mays and Justin Herbert's ahead of him. His price is only going to go. Wow. His price is only going to go up, in my opinion. Get him while you can. This is your, second wide receiver. I imagine you could start, right? Like I mentioned, like a CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride type thing, potentially end up with a Ladd McConkey. Like, so many options. I'm going to pay up wherever I have to get him. I want him on my team. He's just a smash pay. He's a player that I don't even have to think about. Third round, Ladd's there. Click. Not even up for discussion, in my opinion. Don't need to dive too deep into it. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's great. I love Ladd McConkey in the third round. No disagreements.
Not much to add.
Right. If you want to hear more on Ladd McConkey, listen to every other Dynasty Points podcast from this year. We have
nothing to add. We won. We already won the war.
We've won the war. Let's jump to round 4. Jacob, floor is yours.
Right. I went with Rashee Rice. He's a guy that I somewhat similar to Achane. Early in the offseason, I was very interested in redraft. I was a little bit more nervous in Dynasty. And then I just kind of got over it. I've had this feeling about other similar players in the past where I've been kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And full disclosure, I don't think that Rashee Rice is as good of a real life receiver as he is a fantasy wide receiver. But he is absolutely elite at a couple things. And unlike Achane, his situation to me, outside of his propensity to commit crimes, is very stable. I don't know how long Andy Reid has left as a coach or on this earth, but for as long as he is there, and in particular, as long as Mahomes is there, I think that they're going to remain using Rashee Rice in this role. They've always relied on this short intermediate component of the passing game. Travis Kelce is aging out. And just as we talked about with Bowers at the top of the show, this merging of positions, Rice has the WR, Kelce has the TE, but functionally they're occupying the same role in the offense. Rice is the heir apparent to that Kelce role as the zone beater, the underneath, the space maneuverer, the yards after catch, the binky, whatever you want to call it. And I also think with the Chiefs, this is a team that when Andy Reid has a coronary, they're going to, promote from within, I think, more so than look to bring in some different offensive mind. Andy Reid's one of the greatest coaches of all time. So I think that Rice is going to continue to just produce as a wide receiver one anytime that he is healthy. And you're getting a lot of discount on an injury that might affect him this year and a suspension that he may or may not serve in a future year, probably at the beginning of a year, which I couldn't care less about at all in Dynasty. And if he just comes out this year and he looks healthy and he starts producing like he did at the beginning of last year, he's going to shoot right back up into that round 2 territory, and it's going to be easy money for you.
Yeah. I had a guy yell at me today asking hey, Rashee Rice isn't actually good. What happens when he doesn't have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? And it's what do you mean when he doesn't have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? That is...
It's the meme with the guy talking to the guy with the shoulders where it's
my brother. Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is what he is. This is how we have to evaluate him. I'm with you pretty much the whole way there.
I'm not trying to call off Andy Reid. Look, I don't want anything bad to happen to Big Red, but that guy's not seeing 80. I mean, let's be serious.
God.
Tom's on mute.
I'm speechless.
I was gonna say, could you bet that on FanDuel? I know we can bet. I know
We can under.
bet pretty much
Taking the
anything. I know we can bet pretty much anything these days, but like, is there a line out? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many cheeseburger victories he's got left. If I'm being honest, one more.
Bro,
Super
Howland,
Bowl
13.5 is crazy, brother. No shit.
All right. Well, guy who yelled at me on Twitter today, you'd have owned me way harder if you'd said that Andy Reid was gonna die from being too fat. That would have immediately shut me
I
up.
was in first year university. I did quite well in stats too, and they gave me a letter that said, "Do you want to go into actuarial school?" And I didn't, but I'm tapping back into that potential destiny today.
All right, let's poor Andy Reid. Okay. Oh my
Like
god.
Kyle Shannon said we're all gonna, or who is the one? Somebody said we're all gonna.
We could all be dead on Monday or whatever.
Yeah. But Christian McCaffrey's starting. Ryan, you're up.
So round 4, I went with Tetaroa McMillan, who I apparently am not allowed to call Tet anymore, per his mother. So that sucks for me. But I'm pretty sure
I can call him T-Mac though.
We can go T-Mac.
I can't do that. There's only one T-Mac. His name's Tracy McGrady. That's it. I can't do it. Raptors legend Tracy McGrady. There's one T-Mac.
Legend.
But yeah. Anyways, T-Mac here.
Legend.
I just think is a really, really solid bet in round 4, kind of at the end of like this wide receiver thirst tier, most of which I don't like in round 3, but I'll absolutely catch Ted. I just called him Ted again. I will absolutely catch T-Mac in round 4. And the reason for this is there is just absolutely no target competition here with the Panthers. Not only were Xavier Legette and David Moore, they combined into this like monstrosity of the absolute stone worst outside wide receiver you could create in the NFL last year. Whether you're doing that by per route efficiency stats or by drop rate, which is somehow they had 11 drops, those two, when they lined up out wide. Insane number. Thielen obviously can't play out there. It's just so perfect for T-Mac to just sit in that X role. And if he is any good at all, he is going to immediately command a massive target share. I think he is good. 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. This is like honestly a pretty late Dynasty startup price tag for like an 8th overall pick. Very happy to just take advantage of that. There's also no target competition from anywhere else on the team. There's like no tight end. There's no running back, receiver of consequence. Like it's all can just be like the instant Drake London-esque like 30% rookie year target share for T-Mac. The stat I have kept throwing around is that top 10 drafted NFL receivers averaged just over 1,000 receiving yards in their rookie year. All of Tet's props are way below that for some reason. We have him like conservatively projected.
Ted again. You committed the Ted offensive.
I know. I've done it like twice in this monologue. It's really hard to work that one out of my vocabulary, but we'll work on it. But yeah, even like projecting him conservatively down from that, like it just in like a redraft context, we have easily projected him like where he's going or a bit above where he's going, which is awesome for a rookie. You're not paying like much of a like rookie upside premium at all with him. It's just really nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. We've planned to click him a couple of times, and I don't know if we've ever gotten to because he keeps getting sniped by us. But
I got him in an auction yesterday as the only wide receiver I spent more than like. I got him for it was a $200 league. I got him for 26, which I rated being about 1.4 base ones in value. It's a very weird team. I took Allen, Burrow, and Jordan Love, and then T-Mac, I had to price enforce the quarterbacks, man. And then took T-Mac and Hampton, and then I took like 7 $3 wide receivers that all would have been really good in 2021. I have like Tyreek Hill and Cop and Diggs and Sutton.
Kadarius Toney.
Like a bunch. Yeah. Not Kadarius Toney. Don't have Kadarius Toney, but
I'll say
$3 Tyreek Hill.
No, that's not bad. I will say my 4th round pick is probably a little bit more controversial. But it's Brock Purdy for me at this point.
Tom taking a QB. Let's go.
I am. Obviously, Rice was taken. So that's my number 1. Mentioned at the top of the show, I had to default to someone else. I'll take Brock Purdy. He got paid. All right. That was always is he, will he or won't he? There's talk they're going to bring Darnold. They're not going to keep Purdy. He got paid. He's attached to Shanahan. It was, what's he going to do when the team falls? The team fell apart, and Purdy was still balling. I mean, I could just cite every Scott Barrett statistic he constantly pumps out on Twitter and in his podcast about Brock Purdy. He just gets it done. He may not be great or amazing, but his play caller is. And they're going to continue to build an offense around him. I like to punt my quarterbacks more often than not, but there is a bit of a tear break for me with Purdy. Maybe one day Trevor Lawrence could one day ascend to what Purdy is, but Baker's age, he really is in the sweet spot. He's the last player in the sweet spot. I will say I don't love making that pick when I have to, but again, my other favorite picks in round 4 are gone. In a 6-point passing touchdown league, Brock Purdy is more than fine for me to anchor my QB1.
Certainly.
That being said, that's the first. Oh, sorry. Does anyone have a counter?
Not at all.
No.
Okay, I thought maybe I heard maybe just a little bit.
No, I've never been a Brock Purdy fantasy hater. I will remain to my grave a Brock Purdy real life hater, but I'm a Brock Purdy fantasy supporter.
Yeah, and
at worst, like even if Scott and the other fucking nerds that like wet themselves over Brock Purdy all the time are right. At worst, he's the Rashee Rice of quarterbacks. Like he's locked in this sports car for as long as he plays. So it doesn't really matter for fantasy.
Yeah, agreed. That's why I love him. Quick break. We come back. We're going to dive into round 5. Remember, if you have Dynasty questions you want answered, ask away. We are going to hit that. It doesn't even have to be Dynasty Q&A, really. It could be questions about almost anything, and we will get to them in the Dynasty Q&A portion. Sit tight. When we come back, we are doing picks 5 through 8. Haven't messed up the new buttons yet. You love to see it. Chat, you guys have just absolutely been ruthless all night. We love and appreciate that out of you guys. Jacob, you're up.
Yeah, this is the most predictable pick I've had, maybe other than Brock Powers, but surprising absolutely no one. I'll take Trevor Lawrence as my favorite 5th round pick.
Discount Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Look, this is it. Put up or shut up time.
Can we get a montage of Jacob saying this is it for Trevor Lawrence like every single year of his career?
This is actually it. There's nowhere left to hide. There's no more excuses. It's time. You know, this is time for the ball knowers versus the spreadsheet socialists to find out what's going to happen in Jacksonville down in Duval. So he's got Liam Cohen, offensive coordinator, I believe in. He's got Travis Hunter on between 30 to 90% of the offensive snaps. He's got superstar Brian Thomas. He's got running backs. Got a great scheme. Trevor, please God, just like let's just make it work this year, buddy. Let's make it work. And if he does, the fantasy upside's really high. He still, in my opinion, is an underrated rusher of the football from a fantasy perspective, that he can add in that value that way. I think they're going to play fast. I think they're going to pass the ball a lot. I think they're going to play well. And I think he's going to be a QB1 this year. I hope and I pray. And if not, I lay down my sword and I give up on Trevor Lawrence for forever. I promise. But he's the guy in every single dynasty draft that I want. I want Duval, the Trevor Lawrence this year that I can get.
Oh, wow. Brutal joke. Awful. But I will say it's too bad for Brian Thomas Jr. He no longer has Mac Jones. I mean, can he really pay off that ADP without Big Mac Jones? I just don't know if it's possible. Ryan?
Yeah, so I'm taking like the version of Trevor Lawrence that just hasn't failed in the NFL yet, basically, in JJ McCarthy here. And it's kind of for all the same reasons. I'm probably going to write.
Ironically, it's the spreadsheet socialists are committing McCarthyism.
Oh, yeah. Niche American history joke. Love it.
Oppenheimer, good movie.
Yeah, I wish I could I wish I could counter with like a niche Canadian history joke, but I just don't have the
King Bing
I don't
affair.
have the depth.
I'm not sure how that plays in, but you could come up with something.
Yeah,
I'll send you some
clue.
Wikipedia pages on Canadian history.
Yeah, I feel like I've got to do my part here. Yeah, it's just I'm not bringing the Canadian history to the show that you are with the U.S. history, but yeah, so McCarthy and Lawrence, I'll just kind of talk about both of them. But they are the two like late round quarterback guys aside from like Drake May that I'm writing up as like my flag plants in redraft. And it's because literally every single successful late round quarterback of the last 4+ years that has not been like a rusher was just a pocket passer in a McShanahan style system. I've tweeted about this plenty. I've written about it plenty. I'm going to write about it even more. But yeah, it is legitimately a cheat code that the market kind of hasn't caught on to at all. And I think it's the same in Dynasty. Yeah, both of these guys are way too cheap as round 5 startup picks. With McCarthy specifically, we just got the Sam Darnold experiment in this exact same system with a slightly worse roster than they're going to have this year. We have seen Kevin O'Connell be top 3 in P-Row, top 5 in red zone pass rate every single year of his tenure. It's just very hard for me to see how McCarthy in particular fails. Lawrence, it would be the funniest thing ever if he somehow failed with all the things that he has going for him in Jacksonville. I would enjoy it personally. My bags would not enjoy it, but yeah, that they're both just such solid picks.
I'll unfortunately
also guys that rarely go in round 5, actually.
Yeah. I love McCarthy too, despite the McCarthyism joke. If I wasn't being brand loyal, McCarthy would be my pick here as well.
Brand loyalty is important though, so I'm glad you're really seeing this Titanic style. Like you are the band,
yeah,
right?
I'm like Victor Garber, the architect when he goes up to the front and he decides to die on the ship. That's me, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure playing with you, gentlemen. For me, my round 5 pick. Can't talk tonight. Is Quinshon Judkins because JJ McCarthy was gone. I'm going to take Judkins. I talked to Grant Barfield. You know what he said?
He's going to be just
has him ranked
for this one.
One spot ahead of Henderson at this point. I think the tackle breaking was not properly analyzed. I'll trust Graham Barfield on this. And for a lot of the same reasons that Jacob talked about Hampton, I'll talk about Judkins. You want to talk about opportunity and offense. Now, look, some people are still bullish on the Browns offense.
What people? Name one person.
Guy, Scott Barrett,
Scott Barrett is bullish on the Browns offense?
There's a caveat. So long as it's not actually Kenny Pickett that wins the starting job, which is, as it's looking, what the Browns want, he still has hopes that it's Flacco. I think the coach is really good. I think the run game can be designed really well. If the passing offense does flutter, I think the run game can really, really help push. And I like him as a player. We were talking about a guy who's going 1.5, 1.6 in rookie drafts, and you're getting him in the 5th round. Talk about an easy lane for him to improve on that and give you a round 3, 8 touchdowns, 950 yards. We're really talking about, a high up, again, just like you mentioned with someone like Javonte. I can see that type of season happening for someone like Judkins. Rookie running back, I don't mind taking him here in the 5th. I really don't mind it at all. Especially with some of the other options that I'm looking at here. McCaffrey goes 1 spot ahead of him, right? Then you get Derrick Henry, who's a god. He's probably going to continue to own us, score 19, 21 points per game for the next 3 years, and we're all crying. But he's someone that you can acquire in season a little easier, a little cheaper in my experience. I'm not clicking guys like Rome or Devonta Smith. Like, Devonta Smith is a great player, but he feels like you're double bagging it, right? He's just a safe click. He's alpha cucked in a run first offense. I know we like him as a player, but it's really hard for me to click that in round 5. Terry McLaurin, I'm just not there with. Tyler Warren, I'm not. James Cook had over 40% of his production come off of touchdowns alone. Contract year, like, he really is set up. I mean, you can click Cam Ward, but I've just not clicked him once this year, and I'm probably going to continue to not do so. I'm happy with Judkins as my RB1 in round 5. If I'm comfortable taking him at 105, 106 like I had been, there should be no reason why I'm not comfortable taking him here in round 5.
My only
that
pushback
this had a big effect on Andy because he's not even in the chat. Like, his hands are not free right now. They're being occupied in a different way.
My only pushback on Judkins is that regardless of what Scott Barrett thinks of the offense, they are implied for the fewest points per game this year of any team in the NFL. I believe they're not favored in a single look-ahead line at any point in the season. It's a 3.5 game win total. Judkins is, while the pass catching skill set is theoretically can be like NFL worthy and he could catch passes in the NFL, it's not like so obvious that he needs to be on the field on third downs, in my opinion. So I look at Judkins and I just don't fear him this year. Like, it seems very unlikely to me that he totally burns me for not having like a big position on him in redraft or dynasty this year. I think there's going to be opportunities to buy in later if this becomes like a player that looks like he is going to hold on to an opportunity share for a long time.
I understand that, but his seasonal price, I get the Browns are going to be bad. Like, I guess you're more in the projection weeds than I am by far. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's like nobody else there other than a 4th round pick that they took in the same draft way after him. He's going like right next. Why is he going next to Caleb Johnson? Like, who went like I like Caleb Johnson more. I did pre-draft, but like I acknowledge like the NFL has spoken. They didn't agree with me. He went like 50 picks later, and he goes ahead of him on underdog. Judkins goes like right next to Montgomery. Like, his season-long rushing yards prop on underdog is the most perplexing one in the entire list to me. This could be an argument against Judkins if you think it makes sense, but I just need to like discuss it. 649.5.
Yeah, that's low.
Like, what?
The over.
How is that his prop? I just like, how is he not going to get 200 carries? Like, is the idea that they're just going to go really pass heavy with like probably starting Sanders and Gabriel for most? I don't know. I just struggle to wrap my head around the bearishness with which he's viewed this year, even as not a big Judkins fan. I get what you're saying, Ryan, for the ceiling. Like, I could see how it becomes like an empty calorie year where you look up and it's a lot of like 18 carries, 80 yards. He didn't score a touchdown this week because they scored 13 points. I understand that, but like, I don't know. The guys that he reminds me of like Steven Jackson on the Rams, where it's like he's just going to be the only thing that they're interested in doing on a week-to-week basis. Well, and like the team stinks, but like he still grinds out yards and looks kind of good.
This running game is so good that the ghost of Kareem Hunt and a mid plotting type back like Jerome Ford were like sought after assets. have to assume that Judkins is better than them, given everything that
Ford
we know.
had 5.4 yards per carry last year on the same stinky offense.
Yeah,
So they can't run the ball.
I'm more inclined to agree with you there. I understand everything Ryan said. I get the limitations. If Lucas were here, I would love for him to dive into the article that he wrote, I believe 2 years ago, about how, rookie running backs don't really even have to do much. They just have to get on the field and play, and they gain value historically. So someone like Judkins getting on the field a lot. I mean, I do love that.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna dispute like the season. I didn't know his season long rushing yards prop was that low. That is agree sounds low to me. I also think his ADP is like fine, but yeah, like I said, it's not someone I fear. I don't think I'm gonna totally regret not having a ton of him.
Fair enough.
All right, let's keep it moving. We got 3 more rounds to go. We're gonna try to get through these ones pretty quick. So let's go round 6.
All right. I don't even want to talk about this one because it's like I didn't like anyone in this entire round.
Yeah, this round. Trade out of this round.
So I took I took Chris Olave, who I have as the last pick of round 6. I see in my notes someone else, I guess, had their
he's 7th in
filters
mine.
differently and had it in the 7th. But anyway, I have him as 612, and this is just it's a round of the draft where I see a lot of mines. I mean, I guess pick Dak. That'd be boring though. And I just think Olave is just way better than most of the players in this round. He's like the only guy who every single year that he's been on a football field plays very good football. It's consistently over 2 yards per route run, consistently in the mid-20s in targets per route run. He's just a guy where everything negative about him is currently priced into his profile. People are very down on Tyler Shuck. People are very down on his concussions. They're down on the Saints, all that stuff. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to underperform this ADP. And I think that there is at least some level of upside where he can drastically outperform this ADP when you consider this is a guy who, with Derek Carr starting at quarterback last year, was being drafted at the top half of the 2nd round in seasonal leagues. And like, is it completely unimaginable that Tyler Shuck could be a Derek Carr level quarterback? Like, that's not completely unimaginable to me. I don't like Tyler Shuck, but like, talking about Derek Carr here. It's Kellen Moore offense. He's played with tempo historically, had reasonable pass rates historically. I think people are pricing in the worst case scenario, and he's a value to me, even if it kind of makes me puke.
I felt like that was tough for you to get through. Positive notes.
I didn't enjoy it. It's not like rostering, like, I mean, to me, this is why he's valued. It's like undervalued. It's like rostering Chris Olave the last couple of years has just been like a really annoying experience. Like you're constantly feeling like you have this good player, then you're watching fucking Rashid Shaheed score a 60-yard touchdown, and then Olave is like getting concussed. It's like, what the fuck? But I still have not seen any evidence that he's bad. So I just think he has been a little unlucky and is undervalued.
Yeah, that's fair. I want no part of him, but I mean, again, we got to click somebody, and that was just the guy. I get it. Ryan, let's talk about Shaheed. No, I'm kidding. Who do you got?
Yeah, I've got Jordan Addison here, who, to me, I would just always rather have Addison over Olave, and maybe I'm like too much a prisoner of the moment for kind of all the reasons Jacob was just laying out. But you just look at Addison's production last year in his fully healthy games. He was the wide receiver 16 by fantasy points per game. All the awesome things I just said
about targets per outrun leagues, though.
Yeah, not in the targets for outrun leagues. That is true. But yeah, all the awesome things I just said about the Vikings offense, Addison also just benefits from all of them. He was better in every stat with TJ Hawkinson active last year than without TJ Hawkinson. He's just clearly and convincingly the number 2 receiver in what's likely to be or continue to be a very high octane offense. Jacob and I were talking last week on Best Ball Breakdown kind of about whether we think that the suspension risk is like actually priced into his ADP. I would say it is. I mean, wide receiver 24 right now, in at least in Dynasty.
Ryan, sweet summer child. Have you ever known the underdog drafters to ever not react to news that we all knew was happening, even right after it happens, even if you think it was priced in? Has anything ever been priced in?
I mean, Rashee Rice's quote unquote suspension, what was priced in, right? People thought he was getting suspended. They learned he wasn't, and his ADP went up. Like, that's just like a very obvious corollary to me. Why would this be any different with Addison, especially when he's being drafted so far below his positional finish as like a year 3 wide receiver in just as good of a situation? Like, I don't understand. Like, every projection set I've looked at has him well above where he's being drafted in terms of fantasy points per game as well. Like, I don't understand why his ADP would be this low in any format.
Oh, I agree
other than
with
the
you.
suspension.
I agree with you that his price is perfectly fine with him being suspended for 3 games. I'm not even predicting. I'm informing you that after we get the news about his suspension, he will still drop around, because that is just how underdog drafters roll.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And maybe you're right, but hey, this is a Dynasty show. We shouldn't care about a 3-game suspension in Dynasty, regardless. Anyway, so yeah, Addison's just one of the, like, he's like just kind of the start of like, I'm willing to click wide receivers again is when it's like the late 6th and Jordan Addison is available.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Let's talk about another wide receiver that I'm not super thrilled to click here. I hate that these words are going to come out, but it's Xavier Worthy. And it's because he fits the type of archetype of player that I don't mind as a 4th or 5th wide receiver on my team. On a lot of these builds, I was buying Jameson Williams last year. Finally, the price kind of reflected kind of what I thought of him. There's 2 parts to this. One, for this to really hit, you need the back end of last year to really be the start of something else. Maybe the Chiefs are going back to their high-flying roots. They're out to prove something. Patrick Mahomes goes nuts, tells me to shove it, and just earns that upper-tier draft spot once again after I've been saying sell for the last couple of years. The problem with Worthy, though, look, this is a round 6 pick that I'm supposed to like. The problem is either there's someone in your league that likes him more than you, or no one else in your league likes him at all. It's kind of the way it goes. So if you take this pick, you're kind of really just hoping you get the boom weeks. I don't see a consistent type player, but if you look at what round 6 really provides, DJ Moore, I mean, Egbuka was kind of on my radar there. Ken Walker actually has to put an entire season together. Caleb Johnson, 3rd round running back. RJ Harvey's a little older. Zay Flowers is kind of the boom type player as well. Worthy to, like, you could take Penix, but I'm not taking, you know what I mean? It's just a very tough scenario. It's a tough scene in round 6. You guys took 2 of the other players that I wouldn't mind talking about, but Worthy to me has the best chance to kind of blow up should all things go his way. I think guys like Addison and Olave are kind of packed into what they are. We saw Worthy kind of expand towards the end of the year. That gives me hope. And just pure athleticism alone, maybe Rice doesn't actually get everything that we've been hoping for, and then our Rice bags look really bad, if you would. But I don't mind clicking him here in round 6. The value is good. I believe there's resale value, and there's week winning upside potential with somebody like Worthy, should he begin to figure it out. I don't love it, though. Round 6 sucks. I know that the title is like picks that will help you win. Not picking in the 6th round will help you win. Please trade up. That was tough to get through. Round 7.
I just want to say, I think round 6 is totally fine. Specifically, if you don't have a tight end, I think round 6 is totally fine. I'm happy to click like Kittle and Loveland there. Those are the actual best picks in round 6.
I didn't want to talk about another tight end. because I'm probably still not clicking them there anyway, even if I don't have a tight end, just because the way I build my teams. Did make sense for me to talk about something I didn't believe in. So there you go.
Round 7.
Round 7.
Yeah, this is a guy I'm really excited about. He's Olave's actually our most drafted receiver in best ball.
That's disgusting.
The guy who might be number 2 right now, or at least somewhere else in my top 5, is George Pickens, who's been a guy that I've historically been not high on in Dynasty. But he took a real step forward last year as a target earner. Now 2 straight years over 2 yards per route run. And he gets to go from an offense where he was going to be projected to run about 470, 480 routes to an offense where it's conceivable that he could run 650, 660 routes. And this makes a massive difference. We talked about it last week when I was making the case against Jerry Jeudy, who's a player that has basically had the same per route peripherals his entire career, but he winds up in a situation where he runs 200 more routes than he'd ever run in his career, and people start to think about him completely differently as a player, and he scores completely differently as a player for fantasy football. It's one of the most underrated elements to me in fantasy is when a player, due to a coaching change, a quarterback change, or a team change, goes to a situation where they are just simply going to run way, way, way more or way, way, way less routes than we would have ever projected them to do. And Pickens goes from this low volume, slow, disgusting offense to an offense that every single year is top 10 in pace and top 10 in pass rate. It's been the case under Kellen Moore. It was the case under Mike McCarthy. There's no reason for me to think it would not be the case under Brian Schottenheimer, because Prescott consistently avoids sacks. He doesn't really scramble at all anymore. He gets the ball out. He throws the ball accurately. And, I mean, look, they are starting one of Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders at running back. I don't think they're going to be establishing very effectively this year. And it's a great fit to me with CeeDee Lamb. You want to bracket CeeDee Lamb like teams have done in the past? Good luck covering George Pickens down the field one-on-one without safety help. You shift a safety over the top to go cover Pickens on the deep ball. Lamb's going to completely shred you. I think they're a perfect pairing. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to play a very similar role in Dallas to what T. Higgins does in Cincinnati. And I think you're getting basically a T. Higgins level producer this year at a fraction of the cost because he hasn't actually shown up that level of production on paper yet because I don't think he's had the opportunities to in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and of course, you might have to, cover him with 2 people because if it's one-on-one, George Pickens might suplex him into the stands. So you gotta have an extra set of eyes on George all the way down the field.
And if he's ever gonna not be a head case, I mean, he's playing for like $100 million this year. Like if he is an idiot,
that doesn't. I don't think that he's still.
No, this has got to matter, dude. He has not gotten a second contract yet, so he is not rich, and I think he's kind of dumb. So I'm not sure he's great with money, to be honest. Who knows? But if I had to guess, okay, I think he needs this second contract, and it needs to be a big number. And if he does his I'm taking plays off bullshit, I'm getting kicked out of games bullshit, whatever else, that's not happening. He has a third of the trade value in the National Football League as Isaac Tisslaw currently, apparently. So time for him to snap into shape. All right. Lock in, grind like Eric Adams this year, and just stay focused on the task at hand for 17 games. You don't need 18. They're not making the playoffs. So just 17 games. Lock in, George. Okay? And if he does, then he will probably get like $90 million. So just lock in, buddy.
Has this episode just been like one giant callback to all of Jacob's favorite players culminating to ADPs where it makes sense to draft them? Like Pickens, Bowers, Lawrence.
No,
this is your year.
I've never liked Pickens. This is the opposite. Bowers and Lawrence are guys I love. Pickens
loved Pickens last year. On this show, we talked about George Pickens.
I did not like him preseason. Last year midseason, I remember coming in and saying, this is a guy I actually think I would like to get some access to that I've never had on my teams. But luckily, he didn't score any points really last year, so it didn't hurt me. But I remember specifically being under the hood, things are getting better for this guy. And I remain of that opinion, and now the situation's gotten a lot better as well.
Yeah. No, I remember saying the same thing of before the season, I'm like, we've never seen this player command better than a 20% target share or something. And yeah, we got mid-season and it's the peripherals look really good now. And Yeah, I'm with you, Jacob. It's funny to me that, yeah, as soon as he goes to like an actual good situation where fantasy points can be scored, that's when suddenly he's cheap enough for me to actually want him for the first time in his career.
Well, I mean, we just drafted him at the 7-5.
Yeah, and
right?
That is the first time I've even thought about clicking George Pickens in a dynasty startup in his entire career, and I was happy to do it.
Right. Let's talk about your player, Ryan. This is really on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even like I think this is like kind of Chris Olave coded, honestly, for me, which is Jalen Waddle.
It is very that's the two Beta brothers right there, linking arms.
Yeah, but it's basically the same argument as Chris Olave, which is like every single year up until last year, Waddle was top 12 in virtually every peripheral metric, even next to Tyreek Hill. He was top 5 in yards per out run in 2023. Had kind of the weird injury issues in 2023 where he didn't actually finish as like a top fantasy receiver, but we saw that over the first 2 seasons of his career. We know that at some undetermined point in the future, I don't know if it's going to be midway through this season when Tua gets hurt and Tyreek loses his mind again and completely checks out, or if it's going to be after this offseason, or if it would even be into 2026. But at some point in the future, Jalen Waddle is going to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. I guess outside of our scenario where the whole team blows up, but he still has the contract, so they can't really just get clean house with him. So yeah, at some point in the future, Waddle is going to be in a much better fantasy football scoring situation. There's even a really good chance that it's just as soon as this year that the Dolphins offense kind of snaps back to reality with Jonnu Smith gone. Yeah, it just feels like a really safe pick to make in the 7th. More than like most receivers in this range, I feel really good about Waddle being a good real life NFL receiver. He has plenty of years of runway with the contract to pay that off in terms of actual points. So yeah, he's the go-to here.
I don't hate it at all. We've obviously been pro Waddle this entire season. I think he's an absolute smash pick in this spot. For myself, I'm going to go with another kind of off-brand pick here, seeing as how you guys are just doing nothing but hitting the nose on every single pick. I'm going to take someone that I can understand, I can connect with these problems. I'm going to go with the vertically challenged Bryce Young as another person who needs a bit of a stool. I need a step to get into my truck, if you would, as it is. So I understand not being able to see over offensive linemen, but I believe the back end of the year with Bryce Young's rushing upside really opening up the game. We had Hallen talking about quarterbacks getting aura at the end of a game. Was there another quarterback whose value got boosted more by a picture of him doing the Lamar Jackson, I might add? The point at turning around, not watching the pass get completed. I mean, unbelievable aura from a quarterback. We've seen upside now. I was very against Bryce Young most of the year. The back half of the year, he did end up playing well. And then he gets a legitimate weapon. He's not throwing to a 47-year-old Adam Thielen and someone who seems like a wonderful personality, but a less wonderful wide receiver in Leggett. He has a legitimate wide receiver 1 prototype, whether he can see him or not. Hopefully he can just trust it enough to throw it. The jump throw stuff still scares me a little bit, but out of the quarterbacks that go after him, right, the Justin Fields, the Tuas, even guys like Dart, Geno, Stafford, Darnold, he's kind of the last quarterback I would trust in my quarterback 2 in my punt it QB draft style. Locking him up at QB 22, I think, is a great pick. I'd easily take him over guys like Chuba and Metcalf and Olave and Hawkinson and Golden. Like, it just feels like a dead zone. To me, someone like Bryce Young can do way more for you in your super flex spot in this case than any of those other guys could. Easy pick for me in round 7. I've done it a couple times this year. I know it's weird. Tom's talking about taking quarterbacks, 1 in the 4 and 1 in the 7. But you look at some of these rounds, 5, 6, 7, they get really ugly really fast. Like, I would trade Golden straight up for Bryce Young if I could. I'm definitely going to take him over him. Same with guys like Metcalf, Hubbard. I would struggle a little bit with Addison, but like J-Mo, Hawkinson, Fields, Pickens, like he just stands out to me as a pick. He's the like one of these things is not like the other to me in this round.
Yeah. Chad, I also want to let you guys know as an update that Tom and I both made like the most anti-Ryan and anti-Tom pick in this startup we've mentioned a couple times, which is we took Jordan Love at the 408, which fair enough, well after ADP.
Value.
But it was pretty, I was excited to get that.
I know that's very
I had to talk Tom.
I didn't know that was anti-you. Are you a Jordan Love hater? Why do you hate Jordan Love?
I don't hate Jordan Love. I just don't like drafting him in round 3 generally, but I'll happily do it in round 4.
Ryan texted me and was like, I'm just doing this. Like, it wasn't really much convincing. He was like, I'm doing this because I just feel like taking the lead. And I was like, all the power to you, brother.
You can't talk me out of Jordan Love at 408.
Even I couldn't do that. And that says something, right?
Yeah,
I am the anti-drafted quarterback guy. And like,
I like Jordan Love.
It was a good pick. It was a good pick.
All right. I've been playing the hits the last 2 rounds, talking about targets per route run. I'm talking about, if you just give this guy more routes, if this guy stays healthy, etc. So I'm going to not play the hits this round. I'm going to take a guy that I think will surprise people because he's been a guy I've not been clicking at his rapidly rising cost in seasonal leagues. But I'll select Tyreek Hill as my favorite pick of the 8th round. I've said that I'm more interested in Dynasty than I am in seasonal because the cost of entry is so much lower. The opportunity cost in round 8 to me of Tyreek Hill is just not very high. These are the names that are going around him, at least in my board. I think we have slightly different ones. Jaden Higgins, Ricky Pearsall, Dalton Kincaid, Brandon Ayuk, Luther Burden, David Montgomery, Jackson Dart, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Evans, Tua Tagovailoa, and Alvin Kamara. That's like not a lot of guys to me that I am that afraid of burning me. If Tyreek Hill becomes a total nothing burger and I miss out on one of those guys, I think that I will survive. More so than I think that I'll survive if I completely light a hole in my draft in round 2 in redraft this year. But the upside is if Tyreek Hill's actually been fine all along, and he's just Tyreek Hill, and last year was all about the broken offense and Tua's concussions and everything else, you might get not just this year, but potentially multiple more years of elite top 5 pick Tyreek Hill, one of the highest ceilings in all of fantasy, and the cost of entry to me is extremely limited. So as much as I'm like a old type of drafter for the most part in my seasonal leagues and best ball content, I often take shots on these types of bets in Dynasty. And Tyreek Hill to me seems like one of the most palatable ways to take that bet on a quote unquote old. I'm very in on his cost in the 8th round.
Everything you basically just said, I said with Theo Greminger and Ryan on Fantasy Football Daily on why I love Tyreek Hill. I'm so in on this pick. I'm sad that you got to him before I could. He's an absolute smash for me and for the opportunity cost. 100%. You can't trade for him at those prices. You can't, because people that have him are like, well, I need to see what happens. For me, he didn't look slow to me. And that's like the big, what if his speed goes? I think he still runs pretty good routes. It is a risk problem. And maybe I'll never really know fully what's going on in a professional athlete's mind and everything they have to carry all the time. But I don't know what's going on up top here. He looks quick to me, and that's what matters. Can he still outrun 90% of the NFL? Yes. Okay, his legs aren't gone. I'm in. He's not the AJ Green archetype. He's not the DeAndre Hopkins archetype where when it goes, it goes. He's still a very speedy boy. So I'm in. I'm very much in. Unless this Miami thing implodes anyway, and then they're all kind of useless.
Plus, you just got to think of the locker room culture I'm building on my team, right? With Tyreek Hill, Rasheed Rice, and George Pickens. I mean, this is chemistry.
What a wide. Do you want to talk about therapists in the Pittsburgh area that we talked about weeks ago? I mean, that therapist in that area, wherever your team is located, get ready to make some money and probably divorce lawyers. But I digress. Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, we're like, this is the point in the draft, I guess, very similarly to Jacob, where I just look at it and I'm like, just give me points in my lineup at this point, because there are lots of points to be had in the 8th round of Dynasty startups. Not a whole lot of like value gain bets to be had that I'm all that excited about. So I mean, in a similar vein, just give me Mike Evans, just really for. Obviously not as extreme of a bet as Tyreek Hill. I feel much more sure that Mike Evans is at least going to give you top 24 wide receiver production this year. There's lots of worlds where Hill doesn't. I don't think there's that many worlds where Evans doesn't. So kind of a similar pick. He's probably not going to give you the top 5 stuff that Hill has in his range of outcomes. But yeah, it's pretty easy to me. Like this, even with losing Liam Cohn, this Bucs offensive line is still incredible. Really, the entire roster on offense is really incredible. They're in this totally like unserious division where like the Saints and the Panthers and kind of the Falcons too just don't really have real secondaries. They're just down the stretch. This is like the best division to stack up in best ball with how all their schedules align with like warm weather and dome games the entire season and even late in the year. So yeah, just give me Evans for all the fantasy points.
Cool.
See, and I'm going to take the best veteran receiver in this round. It's Davante Adams. Right?
All veteran receiver round.
This is the round to do it in round 8. Look, I wrote an article last year that was talking about how all in I was with Davante Adams last year. That's not changing now that he's around cheaper. Absolutely not. Better situation. I think he has the opportunity to have better longevity in a better situation, getting multiple years with the Rams. Hopefully Stafford doesn't call it after this year. Look, there is a world where Puka does not play all year and Adams finds a way to outscore him. It's not a high chance, but it's at least a small chance in the 8th round that you can get Puka Nacua production in the 8th round. We can all agree that last year with the Jets was an absolute shit show. And look what he turned out. League-winning type performances. Once he finally got out of Vegas, he missed 3 games. Because he wanted out of Vegas. Then it was a slow ramp up with the Jets. Then they kind of got it going. And we're talking about games with 42 points, 26 points, 20 points towards the end of the year. And Jacob, we rode Davante Adams all the way to the finals together in a league we co-manage.
Absolutely.
I'm never going to forget it. I think there's a reasonable chance he's a 16-plus point per game wide receiver going in the 8th round. Yes, you have to accept that he's just going to fade away on your roster into oblivion. I'm okay with that. I think he still has it. Route technician and an offense that can utilize him. I love Tay in the 8th round. All veteran 8th round.
All right, that's a wrap.
That's it. Those are the picks.
You did it in under 100 minutes.
In under 100 minutes, we're in good time. I will say, please trade out of the 6th round. That round killed me. I struggled so hard to find a player.
Just take Chris Olave, and then you'll just want to cut off
No,
your dick.
no. Please don't do that anymore. I fear for his brain rattling. When we come back, we're taking a break. When we come back, we're answering the questions that I got starred here from the chat before we get into the special edition 5 for 5, which will be available in podcast format this week because it's a special week for it. Podcast listeners, you are getting 5 for 5 this week. Sit tight. Do not go anywhere. If you're still here and you survived the break, let us know. We'll kick it off. Cooper says, can we talk about the CFL again, please? I'd really rather not to, especially with the Argonauts being awful. Definitely don't want to talk about them if I can help it. Toronto Dave kicked the Dynasty Q&A portion off saying, Tom going Drake London round 2 lock. Not quite. You were just a little bit off on that. Bruce Flash wants to start a petition. Make wide receivers only wear numbers in the 80s again.
I am with
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
First off, I care. All right. I don't want to see number 34.
Thank you.
I don't want to see 34. All right. That's an ass number. But I will say any number from 1 to 19 is an acceptable wide receiver number. We had Keyshawn Johnson with 19. We've had some good players in those. 20
the teams are okay. I'm not here for the single digits.
I like Malik Neighbors number 1. Like I like DJ Moore number 2. I can at least vibe with that. Okay, for me it's running backs I don't think should get to do it. Running backs in the single digits to me is way off, but
I adjusted to the teens eventually, but I didn't like it back in the old days.
But I agree. There's nothing like seeing Steve Smith number 89. You know what I mean? Or like Randy Moss like 84.
Ocho Cinco. I mean, you made a name out of that jersey.
Agreed. I'm with you on that.
81.
Gen Z Ryan Heath over here isn't with it, but
I feel like I need to pull out my TikTok or something and start scrolling. Oh my god, I'm so bored. I don't even use TikTok.
Ryan probably wishes he had like a symbol as his number, like he could just have like a peace sign or something.
Who cares? Why not?
Alex says we're
Ryan. I bet you like the number of participation trophy.
Yeah.
Alex
that's
says,
actually what I want on my jersey. Instead of wearing a number, I want a participation trophy printed on the back of my jersey.
Alex P. Keaton says you're turning into old men right before my eyes. I have a back scratcher in hand. Okay, I am an old man. All right, I can't bend far enough to scratch my ankles some days because of my back. I am an old man. I've earned those stripes proudly, sir. But we digress. All right. Ryan C. wants to know, where do you take Bowers in a 12-team, 1-point tight end premium with a 6-point passing touchdown?
I would take him at the 104.
That's actually 1 full point.
Yeah, I don't play a lot of 1 point. Did he outscore like Chase in 1 point last year?
I'm not sure.
No idea.
Close.
I would say give me 1
Chase probably clipped him, but I would be surprised if it was by more than like a point per game.
Just the 6-point passing touchdowns. Let me get 106. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like 105, 106.
All right. We're a little bit more cowards than Jacob is, and I think that's okay.
I have him 105 in my half-point rankings, to be clear. So the only difference I would be jumping ahead of Chase.
Okay. So our boy and Andrew Buckler going official today says, can we talk about when Kyler posted a talk, he meant TikTok, and said he'd get McBride his first touchdown, talked about it all week, and then McBride had his lowest targets of the season. Still waiting for someone to get arrested for that.
Yeah, I'm actually worried about Andrew. It's probably like I assume he called his doctor because the erection lasted longer than 4 hours. He hasn't been in the chat since we talked about Quinshon Judkins. So I just hope he gets the medical help that he needs.
Don't call me for that health problem. Let me tell you, that man knows some insane facts about fat old running backs. I will tell you that much. It is scary. Ryan C says Rashee Rice or Hampton in Dynasty.
Two of my favorite picks tonight.
Yeah.
I would take Hampton.
And you're all in on Hampton. Okay. Man, value-wise, I would, but I would have a hard time making that click. I'll defer to you guys. Kevin wants to know, what's harder, saying T-Mac or Room?
Yeah, that is actually part of the New England accent is that I can't say T-Mac appropriately. It just comes out as Tet every single time. So if his mom ever hears this show and gets really upset that I'm calling her son the wrong name, you can just tell her I have a disability. It's called living in New England.
Fantastic. Manyface says, it is stupid to pick up Bowers 1.8, McBride 2.5 in a flex in tight end premium.
Fine by me.
It is. Look, I'll say this.
I'm going to flame you with that if you do it, but it's fine, probably.
I'll say this. You are really clipping yourself in terms of a build, right? Your structure, no matter. Hold on. Can I finish, Jacob, before you get into your tall tales and parables after? But if we look at
tall tales, one of the Brothers Grimm.
Your build, I'll just say this, your build is going to fundamentally look weird. All right. I think that when at the end of the draft is all said and done, depending on what other moves you make, you're going to look and go, well, where could I have gotten another receiver? Or where could I have found that quarterback? And I think for a moment, you're going to be missing a standard build, but I don't have an issue with doing this at all. You just have to be very confident in your ability to make the rest of the build work.
I don't know enough about your room to say. So maybe 2.5 is not that point, but like I think that Brock Bowers, with his production, will just be a good enough wide receiver, basically, where he should be going ahead of the 108. So I think that if you just pretend that one of McBride or Bowers is your wide receiver 1, and then the other one is your tight end, I think that that's totally fine.
Again, your ability to understand your build is going to be really, really important here. Another Ryan says, in a 1 quarterback PPR league, I'm trying to get Puka. Trade partner said he would want Terry McLaurin, James Cook at a 27-1. Is that an overpay for a contending team with the points lost leaving the roster?
Nope, give me Puka. Easy.
I'm doing Puka.
Yeah, I would sleep like a baby making this kind of deal. Hope that helps. John Atlas says, if I can trade Baker and Evans for McCarthy and JMO, should I do this 100% of the time as a process trade to get younger? I am contending in 2025.
I would.
This is a smash for me. Absolutely. Ryan?
It's less of like an instant smash for me. If you're contending to, like, I don't know. I'm tempted to write it out. You probably should do it, though.
Fair response. Ryan with a follow-up. I understand that Terry and Cook are guys everyone wants off the roster, but they may score a decent amount of points for me. Nothing changes for us, I think, in that regard.
Yeah.
I think we stay pretty locked in. Simon Joseph, nice to see you. He asks, is it harder to punt a season and rebound in a 14-team league? I'm in a startup, and I'm looking at punting the RB position, have some good young QBs and wide receiver room with years in the tank.
Yes, it is. And this is a really good question. It is for 2 big reasons. Number one is just that you're going to have a harder time stacking together an elite draft class. Your 101 is still obviously the 101, but your 201 is now 2 picks worth of a pick. Your 301 is 4 picks worth of a pick. The playoff first that you're getting have less upside, or at least a lower floor. So you're getting pushed more back into the round. You have more teams to surpass. Your league is likely a lot deeper. So the more roster spots you have, the harder it is to build from nothing to something. So it definitely does take longer, but that's just kind of the nature of the league. It's harder to win in all respects because there's 2 extra people. So does it take longer? Yes. Do I think it actually changes the EV equation? Not that much. It's just like anything. There's more people, so it's harder to win. Your payoff is larger when you do win.
Yeah. I think it also depends on what you mean by like punt year 1 to 2. Like if you're punting year 1 and you're actually like collecting an entire draft class, like kind of in like the way that everyone dreams they can, if they're like the only one tanking year 1 of a startup, then you'll probably have an okay time as long as you're actually getting like the requisite value for it. But yeah, if this is like a team that is like very low value that you need to blow up, then yes, it will take a lot longer to get back.
I will say in 14-team leagues, I do err more towards the type of build that I don't normally recommend in 10 or 12-team leagues, which is I take more of the like 3rd and 4th year kind of young players because it's a little bit harder to maneuver. So I'm much more likely to have a Devonta Smith or an Olave or like those type Waddle at like those kind of flowers, those types of like stable assets are of much more interest to me in a 14-team league or a 16-team league.
I have nothing to add. That was just a perfect response. Hopefully that helps. And last one, Kevin says from yards created to inches created for Andy Buckler and Quinshon Judkins. Phenomenal joke placement.
Stuff,
that was very well done. Well, that does it. It's time. Podcast listeners, it's going to be a little different for you, a little special, but we got 5 for 5 coming up. And it's a little different this week. I've tweaked things a little bit. I'll let you know how when we come back on the other side of our final break before the home stretch. So as you can see, I won again. Me and my 11 wins on the year. Chat has 2. Lucas has 2. Ryan has 2. Jacob filling in for Lucas this week, looking for redemption after a lackluster last week, and 5 for 5 after talking so much shit. This is how it's going to go this week. Obviously, we have a theme of the week that I'll announce at the end. There's going to be 5 players. They're all going to have 5 questions, and the points are going to be tiered down. Chat will have an opportunity to win. Same rule, you get 3 guesses. If I see 3 guesses and you don't get it, you're done for the round, etc. Those rules have not changed. One thing that is changing, though, just for this, chat, if you do get it, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to keep asking the questions to see if either Jacob or Ryan can get it.
You're going to torture us more. Oh, my God.
You know what?
I want to see if you guys yourselves can answer these, because I worked.
I'm going to adopt this rule actually going forward. I might not give you guys the points, but I'm going to adopt this rule where if you guys do the pass, the chat's already got it. I'll just be like, tough break. I'm no longer going to tell you when the chat gets it. That's a good rule change.
Right. See, we're developing the. We are developing. So, in honor of the ultimate edition of Madden 26 and College Football 26, the package coming out early, we have a Madden-themed 5 for 5. The theme is Madden Legends. So keep that in mind. Wording very important. Right. I need to get rid of the chat here. All right. Close the chat down. I know which one we're starting with today. All right. First question. Is everybody dialed in? Nobody has any questions?
Dialed in.
All right. Ryan, try not to look so excited as we dive in. First question. This cover athlete is remembered more for the added gameplay mechanics that year than he is for being on the cover.
Oh my God. Madden adding gameplay mechanics? What are we talking about? This can't be real.
I'll guess Vince Young.
Incorrect.
Dude, I don't know who's been on Madden covers before, like 2015 or 2016. I don't know. Odell?
Incorrect.
Because that was when they added like the different catching, right?
Right. Chat also no go. You've had your 3. Okay, question 2. This player's nephew is a former first-round draft pick of the Edmonton Oilers of the NHL.
Wow. Who's Chris Carter?
No.
I'm just gonna pass. My head's empty here.
Okay, Ryan will kick it off. And chat ran out of time. Okay. So Ryan, you get to kick this off here. Question 3. This player is one of only 2 players to be drafted in the top 5 from his respective college.
Top 5 from one of only 2 players in the top 5 from his college. Oh. This must have been like a Madden before I played Madden, I'm assuming. Went top 5. Yeah, man. I genuinely just don't know. I'm just a dead fish for like the rest of this category, for the rest of this round, I think. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you got it.
How about Donovan McNabb?
Correct.
There we go.
Jim Brown was drafted 6th overall. Donovan McNabb was taken in the
Syracuse, right?
top 5. Also, shout out Herms. Herms also did get the answer correct, but Jacob gets the points. You got it on.
That was my second
3.
Madden game, by the way. Madden 2006.
Correct. It was the vision cone, by the way. Was the
I guessed Vince Young because that was when it came out for the Wii, and I felt like he's a really random person for people to not remember it was on the cover of Madden.
I'm gonna give you the next 2 questions here. This player's 97 overall ranking was the highest he ever achieved, and this player currently holds the Eagles' all-time passing yards and touchdowns record.
Sweet.
So they're not impossible questions. That was the warm-up. All right, fellas. Let's get in to the real game. Darnell Nurse.
He's Donovan McNabb's nephew? Sweet.
Yeah.
I wondered if Anson Carter was related to Chris Carter. That's why I went
Great guess. Great guess. All right, let's turn up the heat a little bit.
Okay.
Question 1. This 5th round draft pick amassed 5,392 scrimmage yards in college.
So wait, just to be clear about like the rules, this is not all cover athletes necessarily, right? It's just Madden legends.
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Okay. 5th round pick, a lot of scrimmage yards in college.
Running out of time.
Darren Sproles.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Pass.
Okay. You get first one. Chat's too late. This player retired without his overall dropping below 90 overall on release date of a game that he was in.
I don't know if he was a 5th round pick, but Randy Moss
was definitely not a 5th round pick.
I don't know where the hell that literally so far behind before my time when Randy Moss was drafted.
That's fair. I'm not going to clown you, Jacob.
Oh man, I don't have much here. I think a 5th round pick. It was really, really good. I'm not coming up with anything.
Nothing.
I got nothing.
Okay, chat is also a little stumped here.
Okay.
Question 3. His 511 yards in the final 2 weeks of his freshman season were more than his entire sophomore campaign before breaking out as a junior with over 2,000 scrimmage yards.
Oh, this dude's college.
Antonio Brown?
No.
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh, that's wow. I thought for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was a good guess.
Totally got
it. Damn.
Yeah, I was conceding. I thought you had it. Fuck. Man, great guess.
Chat's now out.
Fuck. I got like fucking nothing.
Chat, you're guessing for no reason.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay, you can wait one more round.
Nailed it. All right.
Okay. This player was replaced by another Madden legend in San Diego after leaving for free agency.
San Diego, kill me. Oh my god.
Okay.
Antonio Gates?
No.
Oh. He wouldn't have been good enough though. Legend. Oh, who would have been the guy before?
Time's running.
The fucking guy. I'm so stumped. I'm gonna hate myself when I find out this answer.
I'm like so proud of myself.
Yeah.
Time is up. Time is up. Time is up. Okay. Question 5. This player scored 10 or more touchdowns in every year as a starter from 2008 to 2012.
Oh. 8. Vincent Jackson?
Good guess, but no. Ryan?
2008 to 2012.
One person has it already, but they had it a while ago.
Man.
Who the Yeah, I'm totally stumped.
The answer is Michael the Burner Turner.
Oh my god. It's Michael freaking Turner.
Who backed up LaDainian Thompson and was replaced by Madden legend Darren Sproles, who was mentioned earlier. He was impossible.
I was pissed that I was like got it so close on the first guess.
Shout out to Herms. Herms got it on the third for 3 points. I believe you got it on the third, or maybe that was the fourth. You got it on the fourth. You didn't get it on the third. Sorry.
All right. Well, this is still the lead despite being pathetic on that.
Shout out. He was impossible to tackle, by the way. You could not tackle him in Madden when he was the starter. He was just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
As a player. All right, we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
I love this one. All right, question 1.
I can't believe that I guessed Sproles randomly, and I was like so Sproles adjacent, and then didn't even get it.
Question 1. This player was a third-round NFL draft pick.
Let's name a third-round pick.
No?
A Madden legend that was a third-round pick.
Whittles it down. I'm watching. Time's running.
Yeah, whatever.
Map. We need that. I'm going to get that audio bit. Map.
Okay.
Chat is out.
Okay.
This player never saw his overall reach 70 or above at the launch of a title.
What?
Shit. I think I know who it is, and I have a name, and the name's probably wrong, but it's like adjacent.
Don't give the chat any hints.
It's gonna be all you guys. This is gonna be like some sort of like Madden spam shit that I'm not gonna be familiar with.
Fuck. Damn. Yeah. Now I'm questionable if I want to guess and maybe give them a hint. But okay, I'll guess Percy Harvin.
Incorrect. Great guess, but incorrect. Yeah, Percy Harvin was like a 92 at one point.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know how good Percy Harvin was. Okay, I'm too young.
I'm trying to think.
Jacob,
I have no clue, but I'll keep pondering.
This player totaled 1990 scrimmage yards as a junior. 1,990.
This is killing me.
You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be some bullshit.
It is gonna be some bullshit. Oh, why can't I think of this guy's name?
And it looks like chat is out.
Oh my god. I'm so this is the most frustrated I've been because I know the player, I just don't know his fucking name.
I have no idea what any of this is. I clearly was not min-maxing Madden well enough because
No, it's not even like about knowing Madden. It's I just made like some assumptions based on the clues and I know like exactly. Yeah, I should stop talking.
Okay. We're ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to go, Matt.
Yeah.
This player did not record a single offensive statistic after his rookie season.
Yeah, I know exactly who it is, and I don't know his name. This is so brutal, Tom. I can't believe you did this to me.
I told you guys, I was locked in and ready.
Chat should get this now, I think. If I know the concept of the player, but not the name. Chat should know the name.
Looks like everyone is confused.
Yeah, I'm going to be lost. This is all you, Ryan.
Can I get
one more clue?
I'm trying to think of how I like.
I'm not going to get it. If you can get it, Ryan.
You can always wait for the next clue if you know it and Jacob doesn't.
All right.
Yeah, just I have no clue what the name is.
Okay. Question 5. This player is widely regarded as the greatest Madden mobile player of all time.
I don't know shit about Madden Mobile.
Madden Mobile? What the fuck is Madden Mobile? That's a thing?
Ultimate Team, baby. It's Madden. I didn't say which Madden legend. I have a bonus question if you guys both submit.
Can I say can I get like half a point for telling you like the team and the position?
No, because chat already got it a little while ago, so I'm just questioning you now at this point. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, me go ahead?
Yeah. Me as well.
He was a returner for I think the Falcons.
No, it's Dree Archer.
Oh, not who I was thinking.
Why was he good?
Pittsburgh Steelers. 98
Why
speed.
Was he good in Madden?
He was 5'6", 160 pounds, and he had 98 speed. Hallen got that one. Hallen is exactly.
I 100%. Yeah, I 100% thought it was like a returner that must have been like totally sick in Madden or something.
I told you we're getting into the sicko weeds.
Not a real football player.
Okay, let's go.
How many points did the chat at now? They got the first one. They got the other one on the fourth clue. What did they get that one on?
It was 3 and
3 and 2.
Question 4. So they have 5.
All right.
And Jacob, you are sitting on.
That should be 3.
You are at 3, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's dive into this one. Okay. This player is one of 2 players to ever hit 98 overall or above from his respective college.
2 players, right?
One of 2.
Interesting. Okay, I'll guess Randy Moss.
No, but damn close. I won't say damn close, but it's a damn good guess. I don't know who else was 98 overall from Marshall.
Marshall, I have no idea. Yeah.
I'll pass.
Okay. This player had his jersey retired at the same school as a 2-time Major League Baseball MVP.
Wait,
fucking baseball questions. Oh my god.
This player had his jersey retired at the same school as a 2-time Major League Baseball MVP.
Oh, I couldn't name a single school that a player went to from baseball. But okay.
They don't even go to school anymore. Yeah, what the hell?
All right, I have another guess ready, but Ryan, you get ahead of me this time.
Oh fuck! What was the first clue again? Sorry, it was the two players from one school, 98.
Yeah, Chad's out.
I don't know. Fucking Mike Vick.
No.
I will guess Oregon State legend Chad Johnson Ochocinco.
No. Good guess. Number 3. This player is a member of the 2000s All-Decade team.
Okay.
Down, bow, 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 bow.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
No.
Oh, good guess. No, that school's too good.
I feel like I've had a lot of guesses where Jacob's like, "Oh, good guess," but zero have been correct so
Okay,
far.
I'll just keep trying 2000s wide receivers. I'll guess Steve Smith.
Nope. Chat's also out. Next question. This player was a key part of 11 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
A key part.
So I guess you don't have to clarify, but I'm assuming you mean that the team had 11 straight? Key part. Oh.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Oh, okay. Let me think this through now.
A key part of 11 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons. How can you be a part of a 1,000-yard rushing season?
Okay. I have a really random guess that made me look like a total moron. Orlando Pace?
No.
This clue has stunlocked me. I just can't think of anything.
I might have overthought the clue.
Trying to figure out this clue. I don't know. I'll pass, I guess.
Question 5. This player played for the Baltimore Ravens in 2008.
Well, which one do I want? Because you got to 98 overall.
Ray Rice?
No.
It was probably too early, right? Yeah, I don't even know.
He never would have been 98, I don't think.
And a part of the 2000s All-Decade team?
Okay, I'll guess Marshall Yonda.
No, but I loved every single one of those guesses. Chat actually got it on the last guess. It is the greatest fullback of all time, Lorenzo Neal, who famously blocked for 11 straight 1,000-yard rushers.
I was on the right track with the O-line.
Macho actually nailed this one on that clue. Phenomenal job. Phenomenal job on that.
Should have gone fullback instead of fucking O-line.
Yeah, he got it on the fourth one. So that would mean the chat has 6 points. Jacob has 3, but this
low scoring
is for triple points.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Guys, I worked really hard on these questions, so I'm actually really happy you guys are struggling. I won't lie.
Yeah.
You had to know if I couldn't get a seller's question in here, another fullback was making an appearance with my 5 for 5.
I was even thinking of fullback before I said Yonda, but I couldn't think of Neal. I was thinking about Vonta Leach. I don't know if he was ever
Vonta Leach, another Raven, but not part of the 2000s All-Decade team. Okay, let's go. This one. Now, this might be easy. It might be hard. I kind of went a little soft on this question, or this one here. This player is one of many cover athletes to have won Rookie of the Year.
Hmm.
Boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom. Boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom. Boom, ba-dum, boom.
I will guess
Odell Beckham?
No.
I don't even know if he won Rookie of the Year.
He did, I think.
Chad is out.
What did Jacob guess? Sorry.
I guessed Eddie George.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah! Let's fucking go!
It is Eddie George. So, that's crazy. Blake Dolan didn't get it at all. That is a phenomenal job, Jacob. It is Eddie George.
Oh.
The next two, the following questions are: this player was a first-round draft pick in the NFL.
Yeah.
Question 3: more than a football player, this athlete has taken to theater, playing the role of Billy Flynn. Question 4: this player's cover was the most controversial of all time. People don't remember, Eddie George was the first player ever to grace the cover, not John Madden. Huge deal in 2000. And question 5: despite an amazing career in the NFL, this player is mostly remembered for being stripped of the ball by Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis on the way to Ravens winning Super Bowl 35.
I don't think that he is most remembered for that. I think you most remember him for that.
Look up.
I most remember him for his loving appearance on Survivor Token Teens on the Love Business.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I was hoping that was going to be one of the clues somehow, but I knew Tom would not do that, and I would have immediately gotten it.
So
if it was my 5 for 5, I would have had this. This is the only Madden cover athlete to appear on Survivor.
Jacob, if you ever put Survivor trivia into 5 for 5, I will owe you many solids, because that will be how I take the win.
Eddie George has many acting credits, even acting in action movies beside psychotic action star Steven Seagal, as well as his role as Billy Flynn in Chicago, which is where I thought Jacob was actually going to get it, not at the first fucking pick.
Well, I got very lucky.
And then the clip of Ray Lewis strip of him is the actual most played clip of his career. From what I understand, it's just every time it's just not about him. It's just about the Ravens defense. When it's talked about, that clip is shown. So it's a technicality, as most things are in this one. It was all about the wordplay involved in the game. Jacob, you lock in the win for Lucas on an absolutely insane.
Lucas get credit for my win?
Because I said you're playing for him. I'm not adding you to the graphic because we don't have room. You're generally the host.
All right.
I don't like this. I feel like Lucas didn't do anything.
You host 5 for 5, Ryan, and you get to make up the rules.
Well, he just got closer to hosting because
exactly. That's why I'm fighting against this. I don't want to fucking host 5 for 5.
To his lead.
So
I don't want to fucking host 5 for 5. I don't want Lucas to be one above me. This is bullshit.
Shout out Herms, who got 2 other of the questions. And 1 to Hallen for knowing who Dree Archer is. You were the person when I actually had help from Buck coming up with the Dree Archer question, and I said Hallen's going to be the one to get this. I just had a feeling, but the other ones worked really hard at. Let me know if you enjoyed this version of 5 for 5. I can get pretty diabolical with my trivia questions, as you can tell. But shout out to Jacob for playing me and not the game with Eddie George. I was going for the old-timey veteran. So I just want to clarify. I saw Peyton Hillis a couple of times. I understand that Peyton Hillis was a controversial selection, but he was voted in. To me, that's not that big a controversy. The controversy of John Madden not being on the cover, to me, clarified that for me a little bit more. Shout out to you guys. Shout out for watching. Everyone on the podcast, I hope you enjoyed that.
Really quick, I just figured it out. I was thinking with the Dree Archer question, I was thinking of Devin Hester. That's who I wanted to guess because I thought he was a returner. I wouldn't make
but he
sense.
would have been
he would
higher
be
than
fast and really good in Madden.
So Hallen,
I don't know if they handle special teams well or whatever. Like maybe he's just
he
really
played
fast.
receiver that year randomly. Remember?
He played 8. He was 82 overall at one point.
No, I don't remember.
I was going to use a Dante Hall question, but I'm glad I didn't. Someone guessed Dante Hall like right away. So Hallen, going back to his Peyton Hillis thing,
Hall being fucking unreal.
I understand that like he was voted in, they hyped him up, but people were mad that a 1-year wonder could get on the cover of Madden. I know this because that was right in my wheelhouse in 2012, where I imagine you were like 11. Like I was deep in the weeds in the Madden forums back then. People were not pleased with this guy Peyton Hillis, who now I believe is a CIA agent. Shout out Peyton Hillis, one of 2 known NFLers that I can think of that either work for the FBI or the CIA. Can you name the other one?
Wait. Oh yeah, I can. Peanut Tillman.
That's the one. Peanut Punch has now gone federal. So there you go. That being said, we love the show. If you're
Anthony
listening to the
Gonzalez, I'm sure he's been an answer because every single Colt that ever played with Peyton Manning has been an answer at some point in time. He became a member of Congress.
Oh, there you go. That's our guy right there. So if you're listening to the podcast form and you're wondering how can I get access to this game more consistently, it's over on YouTube. We cut it out of the podcast. YouTube viewing over or only. You can go and check that out. Macho says we've got to get Tipple to host more. It's the first time he said something that didn't involve me getting fired. So we are. If that is what I am here for you, Macho, I got you, baby. I can host five.
Maybe we'll reverse it. Maybe it's whoever has the most points at the end of the
maybe actually, maybe.
What's everybody's favorite Madden game from their childhood? It doesn't have to be the best. Just the one that gives you the most nostalgia.
I played a lot of 2016. That's the only Madden. That's probably the Madden I played the most of by far.
Okay, I'll get really specific.
You're a fucking young person.
Yeah, I know.
Love you too, big guy. I'll get really specific. It is the pre-next gen console Madden 2008. Because when they did the next gen console switch over, they got lazy with it. They removed the training camp games where you still used practice jerseys. That was no longer gone. The progression system was different. And franchise in 2008, the Vince Young era pre-next gen swap over PS2 is still to this day one of the best off-season Dynasty additions ever. Not to mention it was also the first year I consistently played online Dynasty in Madden. Fun fact, the person that I used to play with on that online Dynasty, shout out to you, William, we have played online Dynasty for college football and or Madden every year since 2008 to this day. So the last great Madden was the pre-next gen Madden 2008.
I'm in a very similar era to you. I would go with 2007. And that like era of 06, 07 when they had the 08. I never played much because I bought it on the Wii and I hated the gameplay on the Wii, and then I didn't buy it on any other console, so I just went back to playing 07 until I got 09. But it was 06 and 07 was when like you did NFL Superstar mode and you started in some like rinky apartment, and then eventually you got to have a loft, and then you got to have a mansion. And that was really a big deal for me. I still remember my first time playing NFL Superstar mode, and this was on 06. And my player was new player. That was just how I titled myself. And it predated the Matt Castle season, but I like to think I kind of created but perfected the Matt Castle season. I was drafted. I was a running back, and I was drafted to the New England Patriots. And in the first week of the season, Tom Brady tore his ACL. And I went on a magical Super Bowl run with Todd Collins as quarterback, handing it off repeatedly to new player over and over again. And this was back in the day before you played Madden, like just NFL Superstar mode as the superstar. Like you actually just played all of the positions. Right. And so this was like the first time that I ever gotten very locked in. It was like the magical era of video games where you like weren't so good that it was like annoying and you had to like grind out for wins. So I was like 10-6, squeaking into the playoffs at the 6th seed. And it's still one of the fondest memories I look back on. So shout out to Todd Collins.
Shout out Todd Collins. Also shout out Herms. He says EA Sports in 2005 is forever goated. Madden NBA Live 2005 was the best one. That's the Denver Nuggets Carmelo Anthony, if I'm not mistaken. And then MVP Baseball, still the best baseball game to date. I play a modded version with updated rosters and graphics on my PC still for MVP, Unreal. Let's also give a quick shout out to NFL 2K 5 with Terrell Owens on the cover. That's going to do it for the program today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Man, and just one last thing. The Vision Cone was the greatest addition to Madden in history, and everyone that says it sucks, you guys just sucked at the game and couldn't use it. It was the greatest. If you don't know what it is, please go look it up. It is a travesty that it has not come back because people suck at Madden. That being said, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
That rule.
It was great. It was great. And the hit stick in 2005, the Ray Lewis edition, obviously. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was the first Madden I ever bought, was 2005
Nice.
with Ray Lewis. Yeah.
I played Madden 2000 for 4 years until I figured out I could just buy a new one when I was a kid. So shout out. Pretty sure I rented it from Movie Village, I think, for like 4 straight years because
Nice.
I didn't realize that it would just be cheaper to buy it all at once.
I always would get it like two years too late from EB Games
Yes.
in St. Patel. And
Yeah.
so I started with 2005, then I went to 2006, 2007, 8, 9. And then this is a big Jacob nerd story. But basically from when I was like 4 years old, one of my autistic tendencies was I like operated full-fledged fake leagues in all 4 major sports. And then I made up all of the players on each of all of the made up teams. And I would log their stats each day. And then I would do a fake sports show on a fake sports network where I would act out the highlights for like an hour per day. And then I would log the game stats. And so on Madden 2011, I decided to like bring this to life. So I used the very shitty creation mode for about 8 hours a day for like weeks to replace every single player in the game with each of the made up players that existed in my made up league, and then logged all of the jerseys, etc. And then I would play through and sim all the different games, and then do the highlight show based off of that. I didn't have a lot of friends, but I did have that.
I thought I was weird for like memorizing every MLB box score and standing in the paper when I was a little kid, like every morning. But you just like blew me the fuck out, Jacob.
That
Holy
explains
shit.
a lot.
That does explain a lot.
Funny thing is, before the show was available on Xbox, it took years for that to happen. All we had was MLB 2K on the Xbox, which is like whatever, but it didn't have, in its franchise mode, it didn't track player stats and awards. So you clicked on the player icon. So in my franchise, I would write down every player that I had in the majors and the minor leagues in a notebook from MLB 2K, and I would track, and at the end of a player's career, I would dictate whether or not they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And you would think, oh, that's cool just for your team. Every single team, I would write every one of their key major players, their starters, and some of my like favorite bench guys or whatever. And I would track their stats to see if they would also be eligible for the Hall of Fame. So I was right there with you doing stupid stuff with sports games.
So I want to give my last shout outs to the fake members of the core Selkirk Army team of my life. So shout out to quarterback Andy Phillips, running back Jeremiah Turner, wide receiver 1 Eric Tolmick, for giving me a lot of fake lives. They lived incredible lives entirely in my mind. And shout out for several seasons of simmed games on Madden and a lot of expo markers where I drew up a lot of their touchdowns.
Look, if you're out there right now and you're playing college football 26, holler at me. Let's get some games in. Let's have a good time. Remember, things are supposed to be fun out here. We like to keep it lighthearted, especially it's July. It's the summer. We love all you guys for tuning in every single week. The growth of the podcast never seems to stop. Wouldn't be here without you guys. We say it all the time. Remember to check in on your loved ones, even if you're not sure that they need it. Most importantly, remember that clear eyes, full hearts can never lose. That your best days, always reminiscing about old Madden games. Good night, everybody.
What?
Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.